It is official. December 18th, Tommy Fury out against Jake Paul. We have a familiar face taking his spot. We'll talk about that in episode 66. Plus, Lomachenko takes on Richard Commey this coming weekend. That and more. Episode 66, Weighing In with Travis Hartman. After this.
Awkward silence.
It's always awkward. It's always awkward here at Weighing In with Travis Hartman. This is episode 66. I am B Money, the producer. That over there is Weekend Trav. Weekend Trav, good to see you as always. I like the shirt. Show us the duds here. What do we got going on?
We got my Christmas shirt. I'm back. See, you got a little. Can you see it?
I can see a little palm tree. Looks silky smooth.
Little palm tree. Little reindeer. Coming all up. I'm working it, dude. I'm back. Weekend Trav. All right,
so we got the Weekend Trav attire popping. So Weekend Trav, this is we want to jump on this because news out today, the Jake Paul Tommy Fury fight is being altered. We're not gonna. Well, wow.
I'm sorry. Okay. I heard Tyson Fury and Tyson.
I'm gonna have to turn the brightness down on the screen.
I'm just trying to be like Tyson Fury. He likes to give interviews with his shirt off. So
that's fair. So, but his brother Tommy Fury looks like he is pulling out of the fight. We're not going to say the fight is canceled because we have a familiar replacement filling in for Tommy Fury. So let's talk about that. That news dropped today. Today is Monday the 6th. And it was announced today, Weekend Trav, that Tommy Fury is pulling out for medical reasons. Later in the day, it was shown that he has a broken rib and a chest infection. What do we make of this?
I mean, I don't know. It looks really bad for Tommy Fury because they're showing some of his old tweets and was like, I think November 10th, his tweet was, I really hope that Jake Paul doesn't pull out. I can see the guy pulling out. And then now Tommy Fury pulls out. So like it doesn't look good for Tommy Fury because one, a lot of people didn't think he really deserved the fight. Me and you both were like, he really didn't earn it with his last performance. Like he looked like crap. And now this is just more shenanigans. Maybe it's true. I'm sure it is because I'm sure he had to back it up with a medical, reason. But it just doesn't look good. Like he mouthed and talked his way into this fight. He's gonna get crapped on by social media after all this, deservingly so. But I think we were just talking before we went on air, like, dude, I applauded Jake Paul when he first fought Tyron Woodley because I was like, this is his toughest fight, easily going to be, before it even happened. I was like, this is going to be a tough fight. Like Tyron Woodley is a real fighter. And he ended up showing that he can box a little bit. Like his hands weren't bad in that fight. So I think that this is a dangerous fight, man. Like, props to Jake Paul and BJ Flores for taking this on less than 18 days notice. Props to Tyron Woodley, who was probably secretly training anyway, because who knows? Maybe this is the whole plan the whole way. I don't know.
It looks Weekend Trav like on social media that Tyron Woodley never really stopped training, which is why you have the conspiracy theorists out there now kind of stirring the pot. Like, was this kind of all the plan to begin with? I mean, the contract was all signed, I think today, like same day, ready to go. There's actually, I read a clause in there, $500,000 to Tyron Woodley if he gets a knockout or TKO. I mean, this stuff it almost seems a little pre-planned. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to say that. I don't want to disrespect Tommy Fury necessarily or that camp because obviously his brother is a heavyweight champ of the world, but it just smells a little fishy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you the devil's advocate of that, though. They were trying to do a rematch anyway before they signed Tommy Fury. I remember that Woodley and Paul in talks for a rematch. So maybe they already had those details hammered out. And then at the last minute, they pulled Woodley off because he wouldn't agree to the whole tattoo thing. And they put in Tommy Fumbles. We call him Tommy Fumbles now because he fumbled the bag. But yeah, so who knows, man? I don't know what to believe anymore. It's boxing. It's a circus world right now with Jake Paul in it. So it's showing that anything can happen.
Well, I say that bag has wings on it now. That bag flew away. It's not coming back, I don't believe. So I mean, this is like you mentioned, and we talked about it pre-production. Very dangerous fight because here's the way I look at it. Tyron Woodley, seasoned fighting veteran. Okay, yes, MMA mainly. Boxing, he's had the one bout with Jake Paul, which was it was pretty contested. It was
was
not.
highly contested.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a split decision, but it was very good fight. He had Jake Paul hurt like in the 4th round.
And him being pretty smart. And I'm not saying that Paul and BJ Flores, they're smart too, but you Tyron Woodley going in there, he knows what to do now. He knows how to finish this thing. And obviously there's speculation as to, how everyone comes out of the woodwork on these things. Was it a real fight? Was he holding back on purpose? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. What are we going to have? What are we going to be looking at weekend, Trav, on Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley 2?
I mean, I think we're going to see some fireworks. I think in the first one, I actually did think that maybe Jake Paul was going to stop him later, but I don't think so. I do think Tyron Woodley is going to put a little more pressure on now because he thought he almost had him knocked out. But to be honest, people are crazy when they watch that. When I watched that fight, Tyron Woodley hurt him, and Tyron Woodley came at him and tried knocking and tried finishing and just couldn't. So I don't know that Tyron Woodley can knock him out, but I think both guys now have a lot more respect for each other and their punching power because Jake Paul hurt Tyron Woodley too later in that fight as well. Because I remember there was a clinch where he stood him up and like he was stiff for a second. So I think both guys are going to be more tentative to start this fight off because they know that they can hurt each other because Jake Paul was knocked off balance, but he also was a little hurt too. Because because when he got hurt in the middle of the ring and he kind of staggered back and fell to the ropes, right? I think a little bit of that was off balance, right? But he was also briefly buzzed too. He was. So, I mean, I think it's going to be, honestly, man, we give Jake Paul a lot of crap for his choice of opponents, but I think this is a grade A opponent for where he's at in his career.
Oh, he could easily just like bag the whole event. I mean, easily, because what is it? Today's the 6th. That's 12 days from now, December 18th in Tampa, Florida, Showtime pay-per-view coming to you from Amalie Arena where the Tampa Bay Lightning play. Jake Paul could easily said, okay, well, forget it. That's why it's, having a prime and ready opponent in Tyron Woodley. That's great. And I think, and maybe you disagree with this and there's no way to ever prove it, I think this is going to help the buy rate for this pay-per-view versus what it was before.
Oh yeah, I mean, for sure. Maybe it very well should, but I think that what they're expecting on this fight with Tommy Fury was to pull in that UK crowd, that UK fight crowd. So I think they're losing that now, obviously, because he's not fighting, but Tyron Woodley's a big draw in the UFC, former UFC fighter. So I think it's going to be good. I think they're going to be okay still. And I think because the first fight was a split decision, I think a lot of the Tyron Woodley backers and fans are definitely buying into this one again. Whoever bought the first one, I see 100% buying the second one. And we might have some new people buying it now, but I think the same people that bought the first one, which I can't believe what the numbers were the numbers over 1 million buys for the first one? I can't remember what it was.
Honestly, I don't remember.
I don't think we ever got an honest release of those numbers, to be fair. But I think the fight's going to do just as good as it did the first one, if not a little better. So I think the money's there, but I think what we're going to have too is, even though Tyron Woodley probably is claiming that he was still training through all of this, if he loses, I think this is his built-in excuse. I took this fight on 10 days notice or 12 days notice. If he loses, I don't know if he's going to lose. I'm not ready for my prediction yet. Because I mean, the first one was a very tough fight.
I think the scenario ultimately is almost a win-win here. Because let's say Jake Paul loses, okay.
More money.
It sets it up for the third. And obviously if Tyron Woodley loses, like you mentioned, he can say, well, I took this on short notice, blah, 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 blah. Either way,
have a trilogy already.
Either way, great payday. Once again, 2 in a row now for Tyron Woodley. And now he's seeing the light. You're seeing more and more MMA guys see the light on this thing. And I'm happy for them. I think they really should. We have friends of ours. We had Mike Perry fighting Triad the other weekend, which he made a comment to us online saying, hey, you guys should have covered that. Well, I would have loved to, but at the same time, we had, Kambosos fighting.
Yeah.
So it was kind of tough to cover both. I get that. So we want to show love where we can, but these guys are seeing it. The transition's there. UFC is not paying properly for all the guys. The top guys are going to get paid, but it's everyone else is not getting paid appropriately for the risk they put their body through. And ultimately, you got they're starving after they win a fight, basically having to pay everybody. So why not transition to these things?
Yep. I mean, you're seen that. I mean, Mike Perry, our good buddy of the show, like he left. He's in the triad now, making money. I think they signed a 5-fight deal, and
Yeah.
I think this is our 15-second clip for Mike Perry. Mike, we saw your comment. We agree. Next time you fight, we are gonna follow the triad.
Heck yeah.
We will start posting about it. I will do a live post on their Instagram page with your backing, brother. But 100%, I think you're correct. I think it was an exciting fight. And I think that we do need to cover, and I think that we will the next one.
Because I watched it after the fact, and to be fair, it wasn't on the Hard Rock Sportsbook app when that was live, which that just shut down in Florida. It was not on there. I would have loved to bet on that fight and bet for Mike. But anyways, next round, we're going to next fight. But we're talking now December 18th, and we're going to have about another week to cover this thing. Jake Paul now taking on Tyron Woodley 2.
It's the rematch.
Tommy Fury with his chest aches and his broken rib. Hey, Weekend Trav, how about the clip of his brother pounding him with the medicine ball on the ground? Do we think that may have had any contributing factor?
I mean, I don't know. I think Tommy Fury needs to accept that he's a pretty face and maybe not a boxer. That's like, let's just put that out there too. Let's just put it out there that Jake Paul, who's this YouTube guy, he's not soft. That he's probably got some bruise. Dude, I'm telling you, the kid spars and fights and trains his butt off. And I'm telling you, everybody that's in training, I guarantee you that Jake Paul is going to have bruised ribs by the time his training camp's over too. Sure. Like, it just happens. Like, you just fight through those things. And I hope that Tommy Fury heals, but I think that Tommy Fury, he falls flat on his face because of this. Whether it's real or not, it's bad timing and it's bad business.
It honestly is. If all of it is legit, then it's just really bad timing, unfortunately, for him. And you know what? He got the press that he needed leading up to this thing. Hopefully, if it's truly a broken rib, if it's truly a chest infection, we really, thoughts and prayers that he does recover. But ultimately, man, just bad luck on that one. Yeah. And if it is a little, then you know what? Best wishes to you, buddy. I never want to see him fight in the ring because he's just boring. I've said this so many weeks, Weekend Trav. He is boring.
I mean, you've seen his last couple of fights. Like, everybody, I mean, I would agree with you. The last fight was a boring fight. He chose a very bad opponent. He didn't get to showcase anything against that opponent. He looked horrible. He looked like a name out. He looked like a guy that was living off of his brother's name.
Boring. So that is that. However, that's not this weekend. That's the following weekend. But this weekend, Weekend Trav.
Real boxing.
This weekend, Trav, we have Lomachenko taking on Richard Commey. That is coming from Madison Square Garden in New York. It's going to be on ESPN Plus December 11th, promoted by Top Rank. That's actually a pretty big fight when you really think about it. When you put these guys side by side, you look at record, what they've accomplished. This is no walk in the park for Lomachenko.
Nope. And that's where all props goes to Lomachenko too. That guy's always fought everybody. And he's fought everybody early in his career. He fought a world title. I think he was the first guy to fight for a world title in his second pro fight. He fought a 12-round world title fight against Orlando Salido, I believe, in his second his second pro fight. He fought a 12-round world title fight. He ended up getting a draw, but that just shows you this guy has always chose to fight the best. He doesn't care. There's no excuses. And this fight against Richard Commey is no different. He's fighting another guy who's a legit fighter who's lost to Teofimo Lopez, who beat Lomachenko. So this is a clear good fight. So I can't wait to see it because this is a real fight. And no disrespect to Jake Paul and Tommy Fury, but that ended up turning into more of a circus, more of a mouthing match over Twitter. These two guys are pugilists and true students of the game, especially Lomachenko. That dude is a true pugilist. He's like the Matrix out there. He's exciting. He deserves the hype. He deserves the press, and he deserves for us here at Weighing In with Travis Harmon to talk about him. And we are. We are talking about him. And you know what? That weight class continues to impress. There's way too many names being thrown around, and we're not sure what's really going to shake out. So let's give for instance here. Let's kind of walk through this fight weekend, Trav, if we will. I don't know if you're going to put out a full prediction for this one or not. So let's just talk about it here. Ultimately, let's give some scenarios here. Let's say Richard Commey somehow comes away with the W. What do you see
after that in this division.
I mean, if he actually can pull that off, that shakes this division up even more than Kambosos already did by beating Teofimo Lopez a couple weeks ago. So yeah, oh my gosh. And not only does it shake it up, that makes it so much more interesting even. Like I think that, oh my gosh, like I don't even know if I can envision how messed up and cluttered that division would become now if Lomachenko somehow, lays an egg and shits the bed on this fight and loses the Commey.
Right.
But I don't think he will. I do think that he does put up a good fight because he's a good fighter. But I think that Lomachenko, and he's already had one fight back post injury, right? Post healing, he had one fight back. He looked pretty good.
Yep.
Didn't look like the Lomachenko we know, but he looked pretty solid. He looked pretty healthy. So I don't expect any less out of Lomachenko. I expect him to come out with some fireworks. And Comey's last loss was to Teofimo Lopez, and he got TKO'd. So I think that Lomachenko is going to come with a vengeance and try to prove a point. And he's been trying to prove to everybody that loss to Teofimo was because of an injury. And in his opinion, it was a fluke, meaning that he's wanted the rematch. He hasn't gotten it. So if he can somehow knock out this opponent this weekend faster than Teofimo Lopez did, I think that everybody's going to kind of be on board with Lomachenko deserves that rematch with Lopez. But Lopez has got rematches that he has to take care of anyway that I don't think he probably wants to.
Yeah, it's that the whole division is kind of screwed up. I mean, everyone's now chasing Kambosos. You got Devin Haney in there. You got Ryan Garcia who's tweeting over and over again after all these guys are fighting. Gervonta Davis, fighting. So all these guys are winning, not necessarily in like considerable fashion. You got Ryan Garcia out there not fighting and just tweeting, and hopefully he doesn't break his finger with anxiety or anything like that. But his tap 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 tap.
Listen, Devin Haney just fought this weekend and won. So did Tank. Fought yesterday on a Sunday and won. So that division is those guys are right on pace to be fighting. Kambosos just fought. Tank just fought. Haney just fought. Which, if you watch our show, I tell everybody it leads up to this. All three of those guys fought in similar weekends. So now their time schedule of their next fights, they're on pace.
Kind of lining up.
They fight each other. So I think that's more doable. I think a Devin Haney Kambosos fight's more doable.
It's like I said a long time ago, probably a year ago, bracketology.
Yeah.
It's all lining up for that. Maybe. We'll see. It
made that division fun, man. That division's fun right now.
I'm trying to find the numbers on the Lomachenko and Commey fight, all the betting numbers, but because that app no longer works, I'm on this website Weekend Trav, and I'm trying to figure it out.
Thanks a lot, Florida. What was it? What was the site that it was? Hard Rock. Yeah, the Hard Rock.
Yeah, but anyway, so I'd imagine Lomachenko's a favorite. I don't know how big that is, but maybe you can look that up in the meantime. So we have a pretty robust calendar here. We've obviously come off of a couple of big fights over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday, like you were mentioning. Anything you saw out of those, though? I mean, were you very impressed with Devin Haney? Were you very impressed with Tank Davis after this weekend?
I mean, I was a little bit with Devin Haney, not impressed, but I think I said this a long time ago too, in that division. I do think that out of all of the guys we've named, it's minus 1,000 for Lomachenko.
I just saw
I don't know how that works, but I know that that's a massive favorite.
So
and the over under is 8.5 rounds. So
yeah, so basically you got to bet $1,000 to win 100 on Lomachenko.
He's a massive favorite.
Richard Commey though plus 600. You never know. Throw a few bucks at that if you're willing to lose it, and could be a big payout.
It could be, and I told everybody on most of those massive favorites. I tell them to stay away from them, but the Kambosos one, I was like, hey, I told you, and we did it. We were like, it's worth a bet. I personally don't think Richard Commey is worth that bet, but it's a big payoff for a little amount. So you bet $10, $15, you can get a big return if he wins. But I personally don't think he will. I think Lomachenko, the over under is minus 115. You got better odds there. 8.5 rounds is the over under. I think that this fight goes under that. In my opinion, I think it does. But that division is good. What I was getting to is Devin Haney. I think the way Devin Haney is and his style, I think he has more lasting ability in that division to rule or run that division for a longer period of time than any of the other guys. I just think that his style, it makes for literally a longer career, even because
just
he's
the
got a really
just his durability.
exactly.
Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
Yes, his durability and his skill, the way he fights, because he fights like a Mayweather. You know, he's fast, he moves, he's got good in and out. He did get caught with more punches than I was expecting in his fight. But I think that was planned. I think he wanted to kind of grit it out because people told him that they thought his fights were boring. So he was like, I'm going to fight it out with this guy.
Well, so still not super exciting, but the durability of it. Yeah.
He can take a shot. Like, he proved that he took a couple clean shots against Linares, who hurt him in his previous fight. And then this fight, he took a couple clean shots, and it looked like he was briefly rocked, but then he kept fighting. So I think, in my opinion, that he's got more upside than Tank Davis, Gervonta Davis. He's got more upside than the social media darling, for the most part, who hasn't fought for a year now. But the only other person, obviously, I think Lomachenko. His style obviously has lasting appeal and lasting ability because he's been there for a little bit now. So I think Lomachenko and Haney, in my opinion, no disrespect to Kambosos, because he's just showed us that he can fight at that level.
Right.
But was it a fluke? I don't know. We'll see his next fight, whoever he chooses. But I think that you got to say Devin Haney, Lomachenko, and obviously Kambosos now. But I think the rest of them, I think they got to make a name for themselves, because those guys, I think, are kind of the holders of that division right now. Those three.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. So we'll see how that shakes out this weekend. December 11th, ESPN Plus coming to you from Madison Square Garden. That's Lomachenko taking on Richard Commey. And if you have ESPN Plus, as far as I'm aware, it wasn't pay-per-view. So if you have ESPN Plus, it's on. Go ahead and turn it on. Probably at 9:00, I would think, is when the main card starts. And then obviously the weekend after that. Weekend, Trav, we're jam-packed here. Excuse me. I think your boy, Bud Crawford, put online the other day, or maybe just this weekend, this is what it is. Boxing's fire right now, because we're having something every weekend. Every weekend, there's something leading into the end of the year. Pretty exciting times.
100%. And you can't leave out that, I know that we don't talk about girls that much, but on the Jake Paul fight on December 18th, we do have, oh my gosh, I just forgot Amanda Serrano. I can't believe her name. That girl is one of the best pound for pound in boxing, and she's fighting on this card as well. And thanks to Jake Paul for giving her that platform. You got to give him some respect, because he's trying to bring real boxers up on that platform, and she deserves it. Of all fighters, she definitely deserves it, and she's kind of getting that love now. So we have boxing on fire. Starting
to get paydays. I saw that she put online, I think maybe this weekend as well, maybe the last 48 hours, buying a car finally. And it wasn't like a crazy car. It was like a Ford Explorer or something like that. So he's providing the platform. You may not like his character, but he is smart when it comes to promotion and marketing. And they have their promotion company as well, so they're not stupid. They know what they're doing here. That's what's going to be lasting. Once Jake Paul's, he ends up losing at some point from a boxing standpoint, the promotion side of it will continue on and on and on. And, it will replace somewhat of the old guys as they start to fall off the map as well. Eventually it's going to happen. And that's the disruptor nature of Jake Paul. It's not just the boxing component, but we talk about disruptors, at least from, with what I do, we talk about disruptors in different sectors and parts of the economy. Well, this is the disruptor in boxing. You can't really disrupt the NBA, the NFL, MLB. There's just not, that's too big. That's too big of a
team
league.
Sport too.
But when you go the individual sport route, yes, there's ways to disrupt it, and he's finding his way, and he's found his way, and it'll be interesting over time to see how that plays out. So that is December 18th, coming to you from Tampa, Florida, Showtime pay-per-view, now taking on Tyron Woodley for the second time.
Revenge or repeat? What's going to happen?
Ooh, we'll talk about it next week on episode 67, but this is episode 66, Weekend Trav. And I'm coming to you from the B Money Casa. And then
I'm coming from
Casa. Here. Yeah, there you are. Oh, who's that in the I see her in the background.
That's your wife taking care of some business back there. Hi, Arena. We love you. She said, oh, sorry. It's all good. But yeah, I'm over at the TH Boxing Casa. I'm at the house today, so we're doing the Zoom. But Yeah, man, boxing's on fire. I think it really is. And I'm a broken record because I've been saying this for a while, but it truly is. And you do see the ratings that are comparable to that. You see TV fights now every weekend. We're having TV fights. We're having like back to back. We had a pay-per-view on a Sunday, B Money,
Yep.
Actual boxing on a Sunday. Like we had
Yep.
a DAZN card on a Saturday, big card, a pay-per-view card on a Sunday. Like boxing it's starting to take its place back on the major sports forum. Like we're getting ratings now. We're not just getting ratings for like a big Mayweather fight. We're getting ratings on a steady stream. You know, they still have the Canelos, the big time fights, but then we're getting a steady stream of these other fights that are just happening every weekend on TV, whether it's Showtime, ESPN Plus, DAZN, regular TV, Fox. I mean, it's everywhere.
We're happy to be a part of it. Weekend Trav, as as we promote what we do to all of our tens and tens and tens and tens of our followers. We appreciate you. Yeah, well, maybe hundreds. Yeah. So we appreciate you. If you're not following along, please do so below. Please subscribe, hit the thumb up button. Even if you hit the dislike, I don't think we see that anymore because YouTube is so PC now, and you know how it goes. I mean, we're in that culture, the cancel culture world. We don't want our feelings hurt, so they take that away. Anyways, so if you're not yet doing that, please do so below. Comment also who you think when it comes to the fight this weekend, Lomachenko, Commey. When it comes to next weekend, Jake Paul taking on Tyron Woodley. What are your thoughts, everyone out there? Weekend Travel. Let me just toss it up to you. Before I do, though, because I may be remiss in saying it, we are still the number one beards, bourbon. I think you have the bourbon and boxing podcast. And this week also beer podcast shot in Orlando, Florida, specifically Laureate Park.
Yes, sir.
Specifically, typically in a boxing gym, shot on a Sunday or Monday. Today is Monday.
Sometimes in a gym, sometimes on Zoom. Sometimes it doesn't matter because we're the number one in the world.
In the world, we are number one in that demographic. Thank you very much to all of our many followers. Thank you. So if you're not one of those people, please join the party because that's all it is here. A big old party. Weekend Trav, I'm going to throw it to you. Give me those final thoughts, please.
Well, for the bourbon lovers out there, I'm drinking some Maker's Mark limited edition because we had a couple of viewers. Dale, our main man, we haven't really talked about the bourbon lately, so I got to throw it up there. I'm drinking a little Maker's Mark limited edition. Pretty solid stuff. I'm drinking it neat as well. No,
I see that.
So rocks, a little neat.
So also, and this may be more up Dale's alley as well. I'm not drinking bourbon. I'm drinking beer. I'm drinking Delirium Noel Edition. Let me see if I can get the lighting right. There you go. Pink elephant.
Oh, yep, I see you. Yep.
There we go. So I'm drinking that because I saw it at the local liquor store and I needed points on my account. So I decided to go ahead and get that.
Love it.
I got to get to the next level, Weekend Trav, so I could be gold at our local liquor store.
I'm just telling you, does ABC Liquor know that we are buying our bourbon from the number one boxing, beard, and bourbon podcast in the world in our specific Democrat, in our special, whatever. You know what it is. But anyway, do they know that? We need to let them know. So maybe they can sponsor us and start donating some alcohol to us.
If you don't know, now you know. I think that's what someone said that.
That's a good song. I think it's a rap. If you didn't know, now you know.
There's probably an extra part to that we're not going to say here on air, but Weekend Trav, final thoughts.
Final thoughts is I'm going to be a broken record, man. Boxing, Terrence Crawford's words, it's on fire. Okay. And it is. And it's the cool thing about it is I think that now you're seeing, we used to have a bunch of top guys fighting tomato cans and just building their record. Now we're seeing a lot of guys, I think, that are fighting other guys that are tough, and we're seeing competitive fights. They might not be as exciting as most people like, but they're very competitive. And I think that they're delivering. I think that if you go to those fights, you watch them on TV, I think you walk away. Maybe you're not saying, oh my God, it was the greatest fight I ever saw, but you're walking away being like, it was a decent fight. Like I feel like I got my money's worth. So that's what I want as a boxer myself and as a fan. That's what I want. I want people to walk away saying, yeah, you know what? I got my money's worth. I got to watch guys beat themselves to a pulp for 12 rounds. Like I thought that was good. I got my money's worth. So that's all you can ask for. And I think boxing is growing because of that as well. Because look at it. You got that the boxing, what is it called? The triad now? Like you have triad, you have bare knuckle fighting, you have UFC that's still prospering. I think the fight game, the combat sports game, I think it prospers the most when boxing is doing great. And I think right now it's a clear evidence that boxing is doing great because now you have this like spider web of these other like bare knuckle fighting, the triad, the UFC, these celebrity boxing matches now, these YouTubers, these TikTokers, like boxing is doing well and it's just spider webbing out.
Yep. I think the more options you have, the better for it all. So ultimately, I think we're all winners here on the fan level. And if any of us are doing the podcast side like we are, other guys are out there doing it, other gals are doing it too. It's a win-win, and we enjoy it. We enjoy our time together, being able to just talk and just BS with everybody about it. And ultimately, and we're happy to see friends of ours doing well in it as well. That's awesome for me. Just knowing that we have friends out there having success, and kudos to you guys. So I guess my final thoughts, I'm not wearing pants the whole time. I have purposely, I have underwear on. Be money.
I almost have my shirt off too, and you're no pants party. Like
what's
going on here? I thought this was a PG-13 podcast, but now it's turning into, I think we're in R.
No. To be fair, this is the world we live in. We're the stay-at-home stuff. When I do the Zooms, when I'm staying at home, who knows with a client on the Zoom? I have a nice jacket on or something. I'm not wearing pants.
It doesn't affect their work in a bad way. It makes you more comfortable. Therefore,
you're delivering
a better product.
The air is flowing. You're feeling good. You got the good vibe going. So anyways, Weekend Trav, I could talk about not wearing pants for about an hour, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to say is that there is Weekend Trav.
That there is B Money, aka producer, aka the man. Stay buff.
God bless. See you next week.